Good morning, everyone. How are you? For me, it's morning. For you guys, I don't know what time of day it is, but in this asynchronous world. But I am back, and I'm back on camera, and I want to welcome you. Last we were talking about the stock market and the three stocks or four stocks that you were going to choose. And these were stocks that were to your benefit. In other words, these are stocks that you enjoy. You've used them before. You've made sure that they are either on the New York Stock Exchange or on the NASDAQ, which I think is good. You're also going to be, in your book, which may not look like this, but it's probably the same book, you're going to be reading pages 111 to 118. Yeah, 111 to 118, and I'm going to have a question for you on that after we're done. This is on corporate ownership and forming a corporation, which is what we're going to be talking about in the next couple of days. We still have to go back to the lemonade stand, but we're going to start moving faster. My health is better, and we have a lot of work to do, and I'm a little bit behind, and just organizing the class left me a little bit behind also. So I want to make sure that all of you are up to date. So again, I'm going to post on the assignments your reading assignment, and then there's going to be a question next week. So you have all weekend to read this. On Monday or Tuesday, I'll post the question, and then you'll have to respond to me to the question about your reading. So it could be a paragraph, half a paragraph. It's not going to be a long answer. Just want to make sure you did the reading. So let's get back to corporations and stock ownership and your own choice of which stock you're going to choose. So for the rest of the semester, starting next week, you're going to choose one of the three stocks that you looked at. So make sure that you have three stocks. You're going to send me on Monday, this coming Monday, which is today's the 2nd, which is a Thursday, the 3rd is Friday, 4th is Saturday, 5th Sunday. So it would be 10/6, which is actually a lucky day in my family. So my birthday was yesterday, and 10/6 was my cousin's birthday, and so we always used to celebrate together. I know you're not interested in that, but a little bit of. So it's 10/6. If you can, just send me the three stocks you were looking at, and just the names, and email it to me, and send me the. Just put your name on top of the email so I could read who you are, and put down the name of the stock that you've chosen and the price of the stock as of Friday. So you're going to have to go on your phone or your computer, and you're going to have to Google the final price of your stock after 4 o'clock on Friday. You're going to tell me how much your stock cost. So your stock may cost $100, your stock may cost $1,000, your stock may cost $50, and we're going to start pretending that you purchased 1,000 shares of that stock. This is a game. It's a game that's played by many colleges, many high schools throughout the United States, where they have what's called the stock market game. And even it goes into middle schools and elementary schools now. And what they do is they allow students to kind of research the different stocks that they want to choose. We're not going to do so much research. We're just going to choose something we like and something that we use. And then we're going to follow that stock. Usually you get a whole year to follow it, but we're going to follow it for the rest of the semester till the end of the semester. And we're going to see if we had purchased 1,000 shares of that stock, how much we might have made in those 2 or 3 months, or how much we might have lost in those 2 or 3 months. So it's a way of kind of gauging what, in reality, might happen to you if you purchased a share of stock. And there's all sorts of prizes for the person who gets the highest percentage. They don't really do the highest amount. They do the highest percentage of those who purchase to what the stock is, and then they give a second and a third prize in these games. I don't have prizes, and we're kind of far away from each other. But I will kind of post who did the best in the class at the end, and who did second best, and who did third best, and I'm not going to change your grade or anything like that, but it's very impressive to me if you got a good stock and you did very well with that stock. What's it all about? Well, slow it down. The way it is the stock market is, as I said before, a gamble, and nobody knows really what they're doing. But it's also an educated gamble. The more information you have, the better informed you are about when a stock is going to go up and when a stock may go down. The more you know about the company itself in the long term, so if you want to hold the stock for a long while, then you will do very, very well in the stock market. People talk about their returns in the stock market. The returns, the word return you hear all the time. What are your returns? So your returns are based upon how much the stock goes up or down, right? So it's basically, if the stock goes up a percent, let's say it goes up in a year 5%, 10%. Well, your returns are 5%, 10%, but it doesn't take into account if you want to sell that stock, then you're going to have to pay taxes on your returns, whatever your returns are. So you'd have to pay on that 10% that you earned, you'd have to pay the government whatever it is that your taxable income is that year. It'll be added into what you're being taxed that year. But you also make money with dividends, and I kind of mentioned what dividends were. Dividends were payments to the stockholder that are not necessarily returns. They are, but they aren't. They could be reinvested in the stock, or you could cash them out, and you also have to pay taxes on them. But it has nothing to do with the stock price going up or down. It's just a literal payment to you, a payment because the company is doing well. We're going to give dividends out to our stockholders. So when you're a stockholder, you're an owner. You own the corporation, or the company, the corporation that you have purchased. You own a share of that corporation. And in the old days, as I said, and you should know the history, in the old days you had to go through a broker in order to purchase stock. Now it's all online, and it's all through your phone, and it's a very easy way of doing business. And in terms of business, it's very important to know about whether you want to do a corporation. Now, I am incorporated. Me as a person, I have a corporation, a small corporation, but a corporation because I own a business. Now, we're partners in the business, but as partners, we own shares in the corporation. It's a private corporation. We don't sell our shares to the outside world. We're not publicly traded. We're not out on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, but we formed a corporation, and you're going to be reading about why, the advantages and the disadvantages of forming a corporation. I'm going to ask you a question about why would I form a corporation for my small business, a limited liability corporation, an LLC. Why would I form a corporation with my partners? Why would I buy 25% of the shares in my corporation, own 25% of the shares? What purpose does that serve me if I'm not trading it on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ? There is a purpose. There's a reason why you would want to have a corporation, and there's all sorts of protections that a corporation affords me as an individual business owner. Now, a lot of businesses are incorporated. They don't trade on the New York Stock Exchange. They don't trade on the NASDAQ, but they incorporate themselves anyhow for certain reasonings. And it's very easy to make a corporation. You yourselves can get a corporation. The paperwork and everything is online. You can fill it out, and it depends on what state you want to incorporate in. Now, why would you want to incorporate in certain states and not in other states? Well, the reason is not so obvious, but maybe to some of you it is obvious. It's taxes. Corporations in certain states have to pay higher levels of taxes. They have certain protections in certain states. They don't have certain protections. Most of the major corporations in the United States at one time, most of the major ones, were incorporated in one state. And most of you probably don't know this state, nor should you know this state. It's the state of Delaware. Delaware, where Joe Biden our former president came from, is a state not too far from New York, not too far from Brooklyn, and it's right between Maryland and New Jersey, and it is in Pennsylvania, and it is a state that has very, very pro corporate tax laws and corporate protections, and most of the major corporations in the United States at one time or another were incorporated in Delaware. Now, not so much anymore. A lot of them have gone off to other states, Florida, Texas, because they've offered the same sorts of benefits that Delaware has and even more benefits. A lot of companies have moved to Texas and have their home bases in Texas. Now, it's funny. How does like a major company, let's say like Coca-Cola, form a corporation in Delaware? How do they do that? Well, they have to have a little office in Delaware, a place where, like a box, like sometimes it's just like a mail office box. Sometimes it's an office, just so it says. So Delaware gets the benefit of them being in their state, and they're also incorporated in that state, and they can open up their headquarters anywhere they want. They could open up their headquarters in Manhattan, but they're still incorporated in Delaware. That was for many, many years the way major corporations dealt. They were incorporated in Delaware and did their business in other states. Corporations and owning stocks. What is it that owning a stock does for you? Well, I'm going to talk to you like, your father, your grandfather, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your mother. I want to be someone who gives you advice in your own finances, that helps you. That doesn't mean you have to take my advice. That doesn't mean that I am your financial advisor. Anything I say in the class is not telling you have to do something. It's not telling you, it's just giving you the information you need in order to make decisions yourself. And that's really what's important. You should be educated. You should have the knowledge that you need to make decisions on your own finances. And one of the most important decisions you're going to be making is what to do with stocks. People, you could take $100, $1,000, $100,000, and you could put it in your pillow, under your pillow, or under your bed, or in the wall, and or you could put it in a savings account, or you could put it in real estate, or you could put it, anywhere you want. But you put $100,000 into your under your bed, and you're doing it because you're worried about what's going to happen in the world, and you want to have savings. You want to so you start squirreling away $1,000, $500 from your paycheck at a time, $100 from your paycheck, and you're putting it in a lockbox under your bed, or you're putting it in a safe in your house or in a wall. At the end of the day, the only money you have is the money you put in. The money does not grow, the money does not circulate, the money does not do anything. So if you put away $100,000 under your bed or in a safe in your house, 20 years from now, you have $100,000. Now that $100,000 is not going to be worth $100,000 20 years from now. Your money, every single day, and I'm going to say this every single day, is worth less than it was the day before. So when you put money away and it's not earning you money, you are losing money, effectively. Not a lot, but over time, quite a bit. So when they say to you, when an old person comes up to you like me, when I was a kid, I could buy 2 slices of pizza and a soda for 25 cents. What he's really saying, or she's saying, is that 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that 25 cents is worth what $3 is worth today. Or $4 or $5 is worth today. A slice of pizza and 2 slices of pizza and a soda. That 25 cents is now worth $5. In other words, if you put that 25 cents away 30, 40 years ago, you would still have that 25 cents. It has not grown to $5. And all sorts of reasons are accountable for why your money loses money every day if you don't do anything with it. Your money loses money every day if you don't do anything with it. If there's anything you get from this like asynchronous class from me, and I try to, there's certain lessons that I try to teach you. I don't know if they're gonna sink into your head, but I hope they do. I hope these are the kind of things that you'll always remember, not just from me, but others. And you can ask others. Don't be afraid to go up to other financial people and ask them what I'm teaching. Is what I'm teaching correct? Don't just take my word for it. Never take a teacher's word for anything they say. A professor, anybody. Always look at other things. Learn for yourself. Check with other people. Read your own sources. Think about things. Don't just, go by what someone tells you. Okay? So what I'm going to tell you is my advice. It's not for everybody. I think you should always keep your money working for you. Always have your money working for you. Now, that's not necessarily easy because you have to buy food, you have to pay the rent, you have to pay your mortgage, you have to buy your kids' shoes, all these things you have to constantly do. But anytime you buy anything, usually that's like clothes, like this shirt or a watch, sometimes watches will go up depending on what kind of watches, but most of them do not, unless it's a luxury watch and it's like a Rolex and you keep it well. Most things don't earn money for you when you buy them. Food doesn't earn money for you when you buy it, unless you're buying, in the commodities market. But if you buy a stock, and it's a good stock, and it's a stock that goes up over time, it earns money for you while you are doing nothing. While you are doing nothing. Your investment is static. In other words, you're not having to work for that money anymore. The money is working for you. The way to get rich in America, the way to get rich in the world, is to have lots of money working for you. That's my advice to you. I know everyone's looking at me like, but I don't have lots of money. Well, you accumulate more and more money over time. Time is the key to this game. It's a game. The longer you invest, the longer you put more money in, constantly feeding it, constantly investing, the more money you have, that over time you will have accumulated more money because your money will be working for you, earning more money, and then you're reinvesting the money you earn back into that, and it keeps growing and growing and growing like a child. It grows and grows until one day it reaches maturity, and you need that money, or you're going to turn that money, or you don't need that money. You're like the famous guy up in Vermont who was, a janitor, and lived in a very modest, little mobile home, and had $7 million or whatever it was when he passed away and left it to the town. Nobody knew that he had millions of dollars. He was always, collecting cans or something like that. He was very, very frugal. And I suggest there's a great book called like The Millionaire Next Door and things like that. These great business books about very frugal people who have not made a lot of money in their lives, but because they invested and because they were very careful with their investments, and their investments compounded over time. There's a thing called compounding. You've heard of compounding interest. This is compounding with your stocks. Your stocks grow, and your investments grow, and your money grows, and all of a sudden you wake up one day, and you have $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, and you were a school teacher or a professor at a college, or a cop, or worked in a store, and all of a sudden you have all this money over time. Time is your best friend in terms of investing. As I said, I had an uncle who was an engineer. I think I mentioned this to you, who invested his whole life. His kids never took a vacation, which is sad. He should have taken vacations. He worked hard, lived a frugal life, And when his son, this is many years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago actually, when he passed away and his son went to his safe, in those days they used to actually give you, with stocks, they used to give you the actual stock itself. Now they don't give it to you anymore. You could ask for it, but it's not something that they just send to you. So when they gave you, that when you bought 100 shares, they would send you a form that said, like a stock form that said that you have 100 shares of stock. And he had put the stock into his safe and never looked at it again in his basement. And his son went to open up the safe, and his son thought he was going to get nothing from his father after his father had passed away. And there was over $2.5 million worth of stock in the safe that had grown over time, and he had reinvested it. He had never touched it, just put it in the safe. But some of the companies had been bought up, had been bought by other companies over time. They no longer existed. You had to change the stock for other stock. Some of the stock, what's called split many, many, many times. So when a stock reaches a certain price, it'll, instead of having one share, it'll become two shares. It splits almost like a cell, and becomes two shares at a lesser rate. But then it goes back up, and then it splits again, and now it becomes four shares at a lesser rate, and it keeps growing. And so that one share of stock could be 40 shares of stock before you know it. So he had all this money that he had no idea. He had to pay, obviously he had to pay taxes on it, but his father had left him an inheritance based upon, now the father never got to use it, but it was good. So the son was able to use it for his family. My cousin Mark was able to use it for his family. Now, I hear about things like that all the time. When I started at CUNY, I started in 1987. So I'm retiring now in 2025. In 1987, they gave me a choice of where I wanted my money to go, to what's called TIAA-CREF, which is a large financial firm that invests your money. You have a sort of control of what mutual funds your money goes into. We'll talk about mutual funds are groups of stocks. And we talked about that a little last time, but I'm going to talk about them more later. Or you could put it in the New York State Teachers Pension Fund. You can collect a pension. So you have two choices when you enter CUNY at the beginning. And I'm going to give you a little. This is also for the benefit of you if you work for the city, the state, or if you're going to go for work at a corporation. Usually they'll give you some sort of 401k plan. And what the 401k or whatever they call it does is they say to you, we'll match your salary. We'll put in money for your salary up to a certain percentage of your salary every year. And you can add a certain percentage on your own into your 401k. So let's say it's 5%, and you make $100,000 a year. So the company will say, we'll put $5,000 in. If you put $5,000 in, that's $10,000, right? That's going into to purchase stock in a mutual fund that's run by TIAA-CREF or whatever company is running it. And then what happens is you get a chance to decide where your money goes, that $10,000 goes, and you might be able to put in even a little bit more money on your own. And then you work for a while at that company, and then you can move to another company, and you could hopefully keep that 401k, keep investing it, or you freeze it and it keeps growing, and you still have the ability to. So you move from, let's say you're working at the New York City Police Department, and then you want to go work for a private company. And you have that TIAA-CREF. Sometimes they'll take it, sometimes they won't. So what you'll be able to do is you'll still be able to keep that TIAA-CREF mutual fund and be able to have it grow, and then start another 401k at another company. Now, with the New York City, with CUNY, since I worked there for over 30 years, my money, I invested my money, and I moved it around, and sometimes my money went up, and sometimes my money went down. But at the end of the day, instead of putting my money into a pension fund would have given me a percentage of my final 3 years of salary. Basically, they average your 3 years of salary, and they work out a percentage based upon the years that you worked and all these other things, which is a great thing. That means for the rest of your life, you receive a salary. I didn't want that. I wanted to be able to take my money out at the end of my career. All my money, whatever money I had accumulated, I wanted to take out. It's nice. It's a very safe feeling to have a pension and to have salary, and to know, like, let's say you've been making $100,000 a year at the end of your career, and you could retire on $75,000 a year, and then plus Social Security. We'll talk about Social Security also. So you have that ability to look at your stocks over that period of time and kind of move your stocks around from mutual fund to mutual fund to get the best benefit. Usually you do the more high-risk mutual funds when you're at your younger years, and then you kind of slow and you try to put it into more safe stuff as you get towards your retirement, because you're going to need that money, and you don't want the fluctuations of the stock market to affect your retirement. At the end of the day, I accumulated much more money from my TIAA than I ever thought. The stock market has been very good over the last 35 years, 36 years. It's been done very well. 37 years, actually, 38 years. It's done very well for me. And it will do well for you over your years. It will go up, it will go down. And those times when it's down, you're like, oh my God, I've lost, $100,000, $200,000. What happened? Well, it went down. The market goes up, goes down. It's a roller coaster, and it makes you kind of like sick at times, and it makes you very happy at times, euphoric at times. But at the end of the day, I'm extraordinarily happy. I'm very happy. So I'm able to take out all my money and put it into my other stock portfolio, the other stock portfolio that I keep myself. So I had different streams. And this is what you should have. This is my advice to you. Is if you have a company that offers you a 401k, that's great. But that's not the only thing you're going to live on for the rest of your life when you retire. You should be investing yourself. You should be taking some of the salary that you get, the salary, and putting it into your own private account, and being smart and being an accomplished business student at Kingsborough Community College and beyond. You should be studying different stocks and investing yourself in those stocks. And it's what I teach my kids with the money that they get from their jobs, which is to take a portion of their salary every 2 weeks and to put it into the stock market in their own investments. I don't look at their investments. I kind of help them sometimes if I think there's a good stock that's available to purchase. I can't do that with you guys. But what I do say to you is always look for value in a stock, and that's what anybody would say to you. And when I say value, I mean look at a stock that was trading higher at one point, much higher. Let's say if it was trading, let's say you're in, let's say it's today, and the stock is trading at $100, and a year ago it was trading at $150 at the same time. And its highest point, it was trading at $150. And now it's gone down to $100. And you've been investigating this stock and researching this stock and looking at this stock, and you think, hey, it really is worth that $150. And I think it's going to even go beyond that $150. I think that stock may go up to $200. I've been looking at it. I think they have a good administration. They have the ability. They have products that are coming out. They have government contracts. Whatever it is that you've been looking at, you buy 1,000 shares of that stock at $100 now. You've been saving your money, waiting for the moment to purchase the stock. And all of a sudden, the stock begins to go up, and it goes up to 150, and it goes up to 200. So when it goes up to 150, you've had 1,000 shares, you've made $50,000. If it goes up to 200, you've made $100,000. And all the while, it's paying dividends to you, and you're reinvesting in the stock, and the stock goes up to 250, and you hold the stock for, now you've purchased a share of stock at $100. Stock is now worth $250. You've made money on it. You've kept reinvesting it. You might want to sell it. You might want to hold on to it. You might want to reinvest in something else. But you made what I call an educated decision to look for value in a stock that other people did not see. That other people did not see. You looked for value in a share of stock that was trading higher, had gone down, and now you purchased it. So here's my suggestion to you. With the 3 shares of stock, I'm going to go back to it, and this will be the end of the class for today, and I'll do another video, is look at the 3 shares of stock that you looked at and you wanted to choose. Look at what they were trading at, and you could look on Google, it's very easily, what they were trading at a year ago. Are they up or down? What they were trading at 6 months ago, are they up or down? What they were trading at 2 years ago, are they up or down? And look at which one of those 3 you think has the best value over the next, it's very short term, over the next 2 to 3 months. Which one do you think is going to go up over the next 2 to 3 months? Which one do you think will go up $5, $10, $100, $1,000? And you got to kind of look at the 3 shares and say to yourself, it's going to be winter time. It's going to be, is my stock going to go up in October, November, December? Is this share of stock going to go up in the next couple of months before the end of the class? And then you choose that stock and you buy that stock. We're not literally buying the share of stock. We're virtually buying that share of stock. But that's what you do. That's how you choose. But you do that over a long period of time. So there have been stocks that I followed for a year or so, maybe 2 years before I bought them. And even when I buy them, to make that, it's very easy to make a purchase on the phone. You buy, you sell, you buy, you sell. But when I hit that button, there's that moment of, am I making the right decision? What am I doing? Now, I have friends who trade in what's called penny stocks. We'll talk about that later. They buy and sell, they buy and sell, they buy and sell. They're crazy. They buy and sell every day. I don't buy those shares of stock. I don't know anything about penny stocks. They're very small companies. They're volatile. They're very much like, they'll sit at 12 cents for 5 years, and then all of a sudden one day they'll go up to $4 or something like that. For whatever reason, something happened. My shares of stock are much more, you could kind of gauge them and how they're doing. But at the end of the day, it's okay. So I have to end the class. It's getting too long and you're getting bored. At the end of the day, the lesson I want you to come away with from me is that you need to buy stock as early as you can, like now, like at your age. Even if you're not making that much money, start putting away money in the stock market. If you can. That's my advice. That doesn't mean you have to. And constantly feed it like you're feeding a dog, like you're feeding a baby. Constantly feed it with more money and buying more stock. Build your portfolio. Build your portfolio of stock. Build the amount of stock you own. Own more and more stock over time. Hold on to it. Look for long-term investments. Look for value in your investments. Reinvest everything you have. Don't take anything out. If you're going to sell shares of stock, buy other stock with the stock that you sell. Constantly reinvest in the stock market. And over time, with patience, with good, sometimes you'll have good shares, sometimes you'll lose money on shares. On average, you'll gain and you'll make money over a long period of time that will grow and grow and grow like a child would. And that's my stock market advice for today. Read the book. I'm going to post on page 119. 119. Yes, read this. Is this it? 119? No, this is limited liability. Hold on. Oh, 119. Here it is. 111. Starting on 111. Okay? Read that. I'm going to give you a question on it. It'll give you a basic what's good about corporations, what's bad about corporations. That's pretty much it. And I will do the lemonade stand in the next video. And we'll talk on Monday. Send me an email with 3 companies that you were looking at. And the one company that you've chosen as your stock to follow. It's not a big deal. You're not gaining or losing anything. So whatever you choose, you're not going to... Professor Goldstein is not going to give you a lesser grade or a higher grade on what company you choose. Okay? So all fear of anything happening to you for the company. Remember, the company has to either trade on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. You have to make sure. Get it to me by Monday. Today is Thursday. I will post it also as an assignment. That will be the company. Tell me what it's trading at the end of this Friday. What it's trading at. What the amount of money is. It's trading at $95, $100. And that's it. Just tell me the name of the company, your name. Give me the symbol of the company, whatever the symbol is, if it's different than the name. Pepsi's a good company to follow. Ralph Lauren's a good company to follow. I don't know if the Yankees trade. I don't think they do trade now. They're a privately owned corporation. So find a company that you like. And you're following that company. That's all you're doing. You're acting as if you purchased 1,000 shares for the next couple of months. Have a great day. I'll talk to you guys later.